Have you ever tried to learn a new language and just slammed into a wall when it comes to idioms? You know, those phrases that make absolutely zero sense when you translate them word for word? It feels like trying to memorize them is an impossible task. Well, today we're going to break down a really powerful teaching method from an English lesson by Speak Up English Hub that totally changes the game. Let's dig in and see how it works. So what is it that makes idioms so ridiculously tricky? It's because they just don't play by the normal rules of a language. You could know every single word in the phrase, keep your chin up, but that doesn't help you figure out that it means stay positive. It's that total disconnect that makes memorizing them from a list so useless. Exactly. Trying to memorize lists of definitions is kind of like trying to learn how to swim by reading a book about it. It just doesn't work. You're missing the most important ingredient: context. But the method we're looking at today places these phrases in such a rich, real context that you start to absorb them naturally, almost without even realizing it. Okay, so the first and honestly the most important principle is this: learning happens best inside a story. Instead of opening with some dry, boring vocabulary list, this lesson kicks things off with a simple, evolving conversation, a little mini story that feels real and totally relatable. It all starts right here, a simple, emotional, and very human problem. There's no grammar rule, no formal introduction, just a situation. This immediately creates a context our brains can latch onto. We all understand that feeling of failure and disappointment. And here is where the magic happens. The first idiom isn't presented as some new term you need to memorize. Nope, it's delivered as a natural, empathetic response in the conversation. So as a learner, you actually feel the meaning of keep your chin up before you even know its official definition. You just get that it's about encouragement. And notice the timing here. The formal definition is only given to you after the idiom has already been used in a meaningful context. This completely flips the traditional learning model on its head. Instead of memorizing a definition and then hoping to use it one day, you understand the use first, and the definition simply confirms what you already figured out. So that first exposure is great, but how do you make it actually stick in your memory? Well, that brings us to the second key technique, and it's one that the lesson's creator really emphasizes: powerful, layered repetition. The teacher in the source video literally says this. But this isn't about mindlessly repeating the same phrase over and over again. It's about repeating the entire story and then building on it, which is a much, much smarter way to drive it into your long-term memory. You can see the method in action right here. The conversation about the driving test isn't just a one-off example. The video comes back to it, repeats the beginning, and then adds new layers with new idioms. This strengthens your memory of the first idiom while introducing new ones in that same familiar context. It's brilliant. Okay, so you've seen the idioms in a conversation. You've seen them repeated and layered. The third step is to pull them out of that original context entirely and prove that you've really learned them. And the way they do this is through a brand new story. Halfway through, the teacher tells a completely unrelated story about applying to colleges. And the key here is that the story uses the exact same idioms from the driving test conversation. This tests your understanding in a really powerful way. It's like asking, can you understand these phrases in a totally new narrative? So this is the crucial point. Hearing "get it all out of my system" in a story about crying over rejection letters solidifies its meaning far more than the original, more lighthearted context of playing Mario Kart. It proves the idiom is a flexible tool, not just a line from one specific script. When you put all of these pieces together, what you have is more than just a language lesson. It's a masterclass in how to design an effective learning experience. It's structured, it's intentional, and it's incredibly powerful. So it all boils down to this 5-step process. You start with a relatable story. You introduce new ideas as a natural part of that story. You repeat and add complexity. Then you test that knowledge in a new story. And finally, you get the learner to use it themselves. And this last step is absolutely key. The video ends with a call for viewers to write their own examples. Now, this isn't just a gimmick for YouTube engagement. It's the final critical stage of learning: active application. Taking what you've learned and creating something new with it is what truly cements it in your brain. And that really brings us to our final thought.
This method is so effective because our brains are just wired for stories. We remember narratives far better than we remember random lists of facts. So it makes you wonder, what's the most important thing you've ever learned? Not from a textbook, but from a story someone told you. Something to think about.